Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tony King. I'm a photographer, and today you're watching another month in review for the year of 2025, and that month is November. So this is going to be the last month in review from this calendar year, and starting from now on, January will be the December 2025, and then February of 2026 will be January 2026, and so on and so forth. So I've caught myself up, and this is going to be a monthly series where I go over an entire month in review. I'm also considering making some videos behind the scenes of like a particular photo album, so where I'll do essentially the same thing as I do here, but based on a more constrained time frame, as in one photo walk. Then I can discuss what I achieved or failed at any given photo album. So if you do have any suggestions of which photo albums I should talk about, or something that you've seen of mine that you want me to discuss, if you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content just like this, but also way different, but all about photography, because I'm also discussing photo travels and many different facets of photography and my experience as a photographer, how I achieve my goals, and how I'm planning to achieve other goals that I haven't yet. So without further ado, let's get into November 2025. And in November 2025, I went out on 5 photo walks, which was an improvement over October, where although I posted 10 photo albums, I had only actually gone out twice. 8 of those were going back into my backlog and revisiting some work. But in November, I went out 5 times, which is basically my minimum. I wanted 4 times at least per month. And 5 is more than that, but it's still very much so on the lower end. I have 6 photos selected to talk about, so let's get right into it. I made a video talking about my creative burnout after my trip, and how I was trying to combat that was going to this place called Arabia Mountain, which is near Atlanta, Georgia. It's a very beautiful, kind of unique place to go hike, at least for this area of the world. And this first image is of this tree, very centered, with a beautiful sky that's not super blue, but a little bit blue. And this tree I worked on quite a bit. I took so many pictures of this tree, and I talked about it in that particular video. If you want to check that out, go ahead and look on my channel. But what I really like here is the framing of the tree, firstly, but also how the light is hitting the tree and the rocks around it. You can see that there's a shadow going down from the tree on the rocks, but it's very kind of subtle, and it adds a really wonderful contrast to the edge of the tree that makes it stick out from the sky, while maintaining the color vibrance and the reality of the evergreen needles and the gray color of the bark, as well as the rocks being gray. There's kind of a monochromatic feel, but still this inherent vibrance that I really enjoy in this particular photo. I like how the tree is framed so that you can really see the shape of it. It's kind of a weirdly shaped tree with branches only going off in one direction, but it sticks out from the background, and that is something that I was really aiming for in this photo. Next, I wanted to reinterpret that photo and really accentuate the shape of that tree. And by doing so, I got a little bit lower to the ground and a little bit further away than I was in another photo. And using this brush kind of as a vibrant foreground object to kind of cut away from all the gray that we're seeing. But you can see on the left kind of horizon line, there's trees sticking up, and it kind of leads her to the tree at the center of the frame, maintaining it in the center of the frame as this bright, powerful nature subject. It's the only real piece of nature that we're seeing, as in standing tall, let's say. Anyway, it's very strong. And again, the tree itself is quite interesting looking because it's got this big hole kind of on the left center where there are no branches sticking out. So I'm very overall happy with this image. I find a lot of success when I make my horizon line sort of kind of diagonal. So I'm shooting towards a hill in this way. And this is not super accentuated, but it's definitely there. And I find that this kind of style is very good, and it's a nice design. Still at Arabia Mountain, a lot of the photos that I really liked from November were from Arabia Mountain, and that photo walk I thought was very successful. We're having another tree here, and one thing that I was struggling with was finding these solo trees, but also separating them from the background. So maybe in this photo, I could have been lower to the ground so that the one tree here on the left is a little bit more separated from the trees in the background. I really want that trunk to really kind of be super visible and clear. And maybe that's somewhere where I didn't do quite a good job on this photo, but it's still a nice photo where I'm not going with the standard center frame as I did in other works, but it's kind of like a nice landscape, and you can almost imagine like a hiker coming from behind the bush on the right side, kind of in between those bushes. That would have been a nice touch that, I was like the only person there at that mountain that day. There was only a couple people every now and again, but overall, this is a pretty nice shot, and I'm happy with it, but I do think there are elements that could have been improved. Now I'm reframing that same tree again. So I have a couple of different shots of the same trees, and this shot, it is very much alone, and I'm a lot further away. It's again centered, and this is a black and white shot. So there's a lot of contrast. It's very dark and silhouette to the sky. I like all the negative space, all the empty space of the sky in this shot. Again, we have a kind of diagonal hill coming across for like the horizon line, but the tree is standing straight. So that's something that I do find is one of that element that really makes the diagonal line stick out in a nice way. I think there are elements here on the left with like trees in the background and the bushes on the right that add a little bit of dynamism to this, so that it's not just one tree standing there. It adds a little bit of interest. And overall, I think it's a solid image. I don't have too much to say that I could improve it in any particular ways. It's a good shot. It's not like going to make your portfolio, but I can't really complain about how it turned out. Sticking to Arabian Mountain, this is a very different style of shot, even though it's also similar, because we have pretty much everything in focus and a very visible side of the hill. And the main thing is that I'm shooting from a completely different direction in this shot than other shots. So there's less of a silhouette nature to kind of the trees, and we can really see all the details, all the different patches of shrubs or bushes or this little grass on this like rocky hill. And taking up most of the frame with the hill instead of the sky in this shot, I think is interesting and something that I was trying to do differently. I do think that I'm more accustomed to and more of a fan of filling up more of the frame if it's got to be filled with something more of the sky. But the rocks here, I think, add like direction, because you can see kind of like the layers of the rocks and kind of the direction that, water over time has eroded this kind of mountain. So that I think is nice. The colors are nice with the oranges, but then the green of the tree that's in the center does stick out. The tree is in good focus, and it has an interesting shape. It's not the most interesting tree though. So overall, I think this could be a better shot, but for what it's worth, for what I was trying to do, I think it's a good example of trying to frame things a little bit differently and see what I can get. And lastly, I'm going to show this shot of tree bark, where this wasn't actually at Arabian Mountain. This is the only shot from November that I thought was worth talking about that wasn't from Arabian Mountain. So that goes to show that was my best photo walk from that month. But anyway, here we are near the Chattahoochee River in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was really fascinated by the bark on this particular tree. The sort of element did exist on other trees around, but this tree had really interesting kind of iterations of this broken up bark and the very smooth looking wood of the tree. And I took several different shots, and this is the one that I chose to talk about because I also like how there's like a broken branch sticking out on the left and a very smooth right hand side, giving us the very contrasty bark nature straight through the middle, kind of like splitting two continents in a way. Almost like we have the broken branch on the left and then the smooth on the right, broken up with this almost grid-like bark system that's kind of broken, falling away, and it really does seem like islands. It seems like very contrasty and there's a lot of texture here, and I think that's really the main thing that draws me to this photo is like it feels very tactile. Like I feel like looking at it, I can understand what it would feel like on my hand. So I think that's pretty neat. And that's going to do it for November 2025 and really 2025 as a whole. I hope people are enjoying this month in review series. I also post, my talking heads for each image as shorts on my YouTube channel, and I find that those do pretty well and get some engagement. So if you want to follow me for my shorts as well, that'd be great. But these videos are a great practice for me to reflect on what I do. And I think in November, I should have gone out more again. And I think I could have been a little bit more successful with what the quantity of good quality that I was able to get. So wasn't the most fruitful month. Still, as a reaction to a negative month of October, this was still a good month. So like I said at the start, if you enjoy what I have to talk about here, you'll find plenty of other videos that you'll enjoy on my channel. So I hope you're subscribed for those videos. I've been Tony King. I'm a photographer. Happy New Year. I'll see you in the next video next year.